It was a quiet street in Jackson, Mississippi, January 28, 2025. A single gunshot shattered the stillness of the evening. Moments later, neighbors rushed outside to find Kenesia Bowie lying motionless on the ground, blood pooling around her lifeless body. Her eyes were wide open, frozen in shock, as if she couldn't believe what had just happened. And who could blame her? She wasn't supposed to die that night. Not like this. Not at the hands of someone she once trusted. What went wrong? How did it come to this? Could anyone have seen it coming or stopped it? Headlines will tell you the basics. Young woman shot dead in apparent domestic dispute. But they won't give you the full story. They won't show you the red flags everyone missed. They won't let you hear Kenesia's voice or feel the weight of the choices she made and the ones forced upon her. That's where I come in. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling details of Kenesia Bowie's final days, unraveling how love turned into obsession and exploring the systemic failures that allowed this tragedy to unfold. Welcome to Fatal Fame, where all our stories are based on true crimes. Please support us by subscribing to this channel and clicking the notification bell icon so you don't miss any of our latest stories. Imagine this. You meet someone new. At first, everything seems perfect. They're charming, intense, even magnetic, but slowly things start to shift. They become possessive, controlling, maybe even violent. What do? Do you stay, hoping things will get better? Or do you leave, risking their wrath? Now imagine if leaving meant putting your life in danger. That's exactly what Kenesia Bowie faced, and now she's gone. So let me ask you something. How far would you go to break free from someone toxic? Would you risk everything to reclaim your independence? Because Kenesia did, and it cost her everything. Jackson, Mississippi, a city steeped in history, resilience and culture. Known for its vibrant art scene and tight-knit communities, it's also a place where systemic issues like poverty and domestic violence run rampant. According to recent statistics, 1 in 3 women in Mississippi will experience some form of intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Yet many cases go unreported due to fear, shame, or lack of resources. In 2024 alone, over 50 domestic violence-related homicides occurred in the state. These numbers aren't just statistics. They represent real people, real lives cut short. Kenesia Bowie was one of those lives. To understand her story, we need to step back and see the world through her eyes. Who was she before her life became entangled with McClam Davis? What drove her decisions? And why did no one intervene until it was too late? It was January 28, 2025, a date that would forever be etched into the memory of Jackson, Mississippi. A quiet street in an otherwise peaceful neighborhood became the backdrop for a tragedy no one saw coming. Neighbors heard it first, a single gunshot piercing through the stillness of the evening. Within moments, chaos erupted as people rushed outside to investigate. There, lying motionless on the cold pavement, was Kenesia Bowie. Her eyes were wide open, frozen in shock, her life stolen in an instant. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but it was already too late. Kenesia's injuries were catastrophic. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors fought valiantly to save her, but the damage was irreversible. By the time the clock struck midnight, Kenesia Bowie, a young woman full of promise, dreams, and love, was pronounced dead. But this wasn't just another homicide statistic. It was a story about betrayal, obsession, and unchecked rage. It was a tragedy waiting to happen, hidden in plain sight, and now we're left with haunting questions. Could this have been prevented? Why didn't anyone intervene sooner? What does this say about our society when red flags are ignored until it's too late? To truly understand what happened that fateful night, we need to go back to meet Kenesia before her life became entangled with darkness. Kenesia Bowie wasn't just another name. she was a beacon of hope in her tight-knit community. Born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, Kenesia grew up surrounded by love and support from her family. Her parents instilled in her the values of hard work, loyalty, and kindness, qualities that defined every aspect of her life. After graduating high school, Kenesia enrolled at Hines Community College, determined to carve out a brighter future for herself. She balanced her studies with part-time jobs, always showing up on time, never taking shortcuts. Friends described her as someone who radiated positivity, always willing to lend a helping hand or offer words of encouragement. Her social media profiles painted a picture of a young woman with dreams and aspirations. Posts celebrating milestones with her parents, heartfelt messages to friends, and glimpses of her daily grind revealed a life built on love, respect, and ambition. Kenesia dreamed of building a career, traveling, and creating a legacy that would make her family proud. But beneath the surface of her seemingly stable life lay a storm brewing, one that would change everything forever. Kenesia was the kind of person everyone wanted to know. She had a magnetic personality, drawing people in with her warmth and authenticity. Yet despite her outward confidence, she carried a deep sense of responsibility, not just for herself, but for those around her. She often put others' needs above her own, believing that acts of kindness could ripple outward and create positive change. So, how did someone like Kenesia, a woman who gave so much to the world, end up becoming a victim of such unimaginable violence? To answer that, we must turn our attention to the person whose toxic presence cast a shadow over Kenesia's life. Michaela Davis. Michaela Davis wasn't just another person in Kenesia's orbit. She was a force of nature, a whirlwind of charisma, intensity, and danger. On the surface, she appeared confident, magnetic, and larger than life. But beneath the facade lay a deeply troubled soul, riddled with insecurities, jealousy, and a desperate need for control. Michaela idolized controversial figures like rapper Boosie Badazz, adopting their bravado and glorification of gang culture. However, this admiration extended beyond mere fandom. It shaped her worldview, reinforcing misogynistic attitudes and toxic behaviors. Past relationships had already exposed her violent tendencies, yet she managed to evade accountability time and again. Each abusive episode ended without consequence, emboldening her belief that she could act with impunity. To those who crossed her path, Michaela was a walking red flag. Her manipulative tactics, emotional instability, and explosive temper made her a ticking time bomb. Yet despite the warnings, Kenesia found herself drawn to her, perhaps believing she could help Michaela overcome her demons. Little did she know this decision would seal her fate. Michaela wasn't content with simply being in a relationship. She needed to dominate it. From the very beginning, she asserted her control, demanding constant attention, monitoring Kenesia's every move and reacting violently to perceived slights. Arguments turned into screaming matches, which often escalated into physical altercations. Friends noticed the shift in Kenesia almost immediately. The once vibrant young woman became withdrawn, anxious, and perpetually on edge. Yet Kenesia stayed. Maybe she thought she could fix Michaela. Maybe she believed the good outweighed the bad. Or maybe she felt trapped, unable to escape the psychological prison Michaela had constructed. Whatever the reason, Kenesia's decision to remain in the relationship set off a chain reaction that would culminate in tragedy. Months of emotional turmoil finally took their toll. Kenesia realized she couldn't continue living under Michaela's oppressive grip. With a mix of sorrow and determination, she posted a simple yet powerful declaration on social media. "I am single and don't mess with nobody. Don't attach my name to nobody." It was her way of reclaiming her independence, of asserting control over her own life. But for Michaela, this was anything but closure. Consumed by rage and unable to accept rejection, she spiraled out of control, What followed was a public campaign of humiliation on Facebook filled with spiteful comments, body-shaming attacks, and attempts to tarnish Kenesia's reputation. Behind the scenes, Michaela's stalking intensified, obsessively tracking Kenesia's movements and interactions. Less than 24 hours after Kenesia's post, Michaela lured her to a meeting under the guise of clearing the air. Unbeknownst to Kenesia, this encounter would be her last. On January 28, 2025, Kenesia arrived at Woodway Drive, expecting a conversation. Instead, she faced a loaded gun. Without warning or explanation, Michaela pulled the trigger, ending Kenesia's life in cold blood. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the quiet street, a grim reminder of the fragility of human life. Michaela fled the scene, leaving Kenesia bleeding and alone. Emergency responders rushed her to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. Kenesia Bowie, a young woman with so much potential, was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Within hours, police arrested Michaela Davis. Evidence linking her to the crime was overwhelming, and she was charged with murder. For Kenesia's family and friends, the arrest brought little solace. Their grief was compounded by frustration. How had Michaela's violent tendencies gone unchecked for so long? Why hadn't anyone intervened sooner? As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a pattern of abuse spanning multiple relationships. Red flags had been present, yet no action had been taken. Society had failed Kenesia, allowing Michaela's toxicity to escalate unchecked until it culminated in tragedy. Though Kenesia's life was tragically cut short, her legacy endures. Her story has sparked vital conversations about domestic violence, stalking, and the importance of recognizing warning signs. Advocates use her memory to push for reforms, urging communities to take action before it's too late. For Michaela, the future holds only regret. Behind bars, she must confront the devastation wrought by her actions. The lives destroyed, the dreams shattered. While justice may have been served, the scars left behind run deep. So we ask you, how can we prevent tragedies like Kenesia's? What role do we play in breaking the cycle of abuse? Let her story serve as both a cautionary tale and a call to action, because no one deserves to live or die in fear. If you've made it this far, thank you for joining me on this journey. Please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. It helps us bring these stories to light and ensures that victims like Kenesia are never forgotten. Share this video with someone you care about, and together, let's make sure tragedies like this never happen again.